Okay, let's look at question number 5. It says use the quadratic formula to solve the equation. So recall the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So what we want to do first here, let me create a little division here, is we want to take this, we're going to distribute, we're going to get 2x squared plus 6x equals negative 1. The goal is, the reason why I'm distributing is the goal is that you need to put it into ax squared plus bx plus c. So these values of a, b, and c are the coefficients or the constant when you put it in this format of ax squared plus bx plus c. So that's what we need to do. So what I'm going to do is add 1 to the other side so that it fits that format. And when I say it's equal to this, I mean the whole thing is equal to 0. Okay, so I get 2x squared plus 6x plus 1 equals 0. And now when I look at this, what I see is that a is 2, b is 6, and c is 1. So I just apply the formula. So it's negative b, so negative 6, plus or minus square root b squared, which is 6 squared, minus 4a, which is 2, c, which is 1, all over 2a. So 2 times 2. So we clean this up. So this becomes negative 6 plus or minus square root 36 minus 8 all over 4. Keep the game going. We're going to clean up 36 minus 8. So that gives me negative 6 plus or minus square root, what is that, 28 over 4. We've seen 28 in an earlier question. So if you've been watching all these videos, you already know it, or if you've been working out these problems, you already know this. It becomes negative 6 plus or minus square root 4 square root 7 all over 4. And then that becomes negative 6 plus or minus 2 square root 7. So the reason why, again, we factored out a square root of 4, no, 4 times 7 is 28, is because we can break it down. So square root of 4 is 2. Now, all of these are divisible by 2. So I can divide all of these by 2. And this gives me negative 3 plus or minus square root 7 over 2. And there's our final answer. So the name of the game is you need to put it in this format, which is this format in this particular problem. Substitute a, b, and c into the quadratic formula, and you'll get your answer. So let's see the next one. It's more of the same. So I need to expand this out, which means I'm just going to FOIL everything out. Again, FOILing just means multiply everything by everything. It's an acronym that stands for first, outer, inner, last, but you're really just multiplying everything by everything. What I mean is every term by every term, right? Okay, so I fold it out. So again, 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1 is plus 2. So once I do that, let me get rid of that. Okay, we want to put stuff that's alike together. We want this thing to be equal to 0. So we add 3 to the other side, so we get 3x squared. I can consolidate that to negative 5x, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So via the quadratic formula, we know a is 3, b is negative 5, and c is 5. And the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So solving this, we just substitute the values, so it's going to be negative negative 5, note the two negatives, plus or minus square root negative 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times 5 all over 2 times 3. And we clean this up, so this is 5 plus or minus 25 minus 60 all over 6. So continuing this process, 5 plus or minus 60 minus 20 is 40. 40 minus 5 is 35. So this is negative 35 over 6. We know whenever we see a square root that's negative, we have to call it imaginary. So it's 5 plus or minus I 35 over 6. And there you have it. So the game is pretty much the same in both these questions. You expand out, you plug into the quadratic formula, you get your answer. Hopefully that makes sense. See you in the next video.